Three, two, one, blast off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the MSP Chat Podcast, your weekly visit with two talking heads talking with you about the services, strategies, and success tips you need to make it big in managed services. My name is Rich Freeman. I'm Chief Analyst at Channel Master, the organization responsible for this program. I am joined side by side, as I am every week, by your other co-host, our Chief Strategist at Channel Master, Eric Simpson. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rich. I'm getting lots of rest because I'm not traveling. I'm working from home base this week, completely differently than where you are and where you're working this week. Want to share?
Absolutely. So I am doing my part of the podcast this week from Palm Springs, California, not too far from your home base, as a matter of fact. I am attending Nerdio's annual NerdioCon event here this week. And I'll tell you something, Eric. I've been to a number of NerdioCons before. There's got to be something like 700-800 people here. It's a pretty big show. And, it kind of makes sense. Nerdio recently completed a $500 million Series C funding round. They are a unicorn. They're a $1 billion plus company. They're quite a story in the industry.
Yeah, I wish I could join you while you're at the conference, but I will be joining you tomorrow evening for dinner. So I'm looking forward to that, Rich.
You are doing just a little bit of travel on my behalf this week. You're going to drive on out here so we can have dinner together tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to it, too.
Yeah, a unique opportunity for us to be together at an event, but enjoying each other's company rather than working the event, if you will. Together.
Exactly. Well, folks, let's just dive right into our story of the week here. And it concerns a company, a freshly hatched, newly launched company you may have read about a little bit, including in the digital pages of Channelholic, my blog online. The company is called Slide. They are a BDR vendor. None of that in and of itself maybe would have gotten this company, which truly is a startup, just weeks, months old at this point in time. But what has gotten it a fair amount of attention is the person most responsible for creating and launching the company. And he is Austin McChord, founder, former CEO of Datto. And of course, Datto was acquired by Kaseya a few years ago. I assume Austin has been under a non-compete for a few years since then, and he is out from under that now, and he is back in the world of managed services with a BDR vendor called Slide. And obviously, Datto was first and foremost originally a BDR company. So this is Austin McChord getting back into the corner of the managed services world he knows best. Interesting company in a number of different ways. I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that I think this company clearly has going in its favor, and then some headwinds it's going to have to deal with. And I'll be curious to get your thoughts about this, Eric. So, I mean, first of all, in terms of things that are, bode well for Slide, let's say, everybody knows Austin McChord. There are still a ton of companies, a ton of MSPs out there who think very fondly of Datto. Particularly in the pre-Kaseya acquisition days. So he's not a stranger to the managed services world, Austin McChord, and that reputation is something that's going to work in his favor and in favor of Slide. He and his team have built a BDR solution basically from the ground up. So they bring a lot of experience in the market with them. But they're also, bringing a sort of fresh take on what end users need right now, what technology is capable of doing. So they have a brand new appliance that they've built that they say is super fast. It's built on state-of-the-art technology. They have an all-new cloud infrastructure that they say is state-of-the-art. And they really believe they've taken a step ahead from some of the legacy platforms out there, which maybe have fallen behind a little bit because they are owned by, in most cases, these larger companies like Kaseya and like ConnectWise. And then, they made a point when I interviewed Austin and Michael Fast, the CEO formerly of Austin, CEO now of Slide. They made a point of saying that they are building around that culture and community that Datto was famous for before, and that this was one of the reasons MSPs were so fond of the business before. That's all the stuff that bodes well for them. The stuff that they're going to have to work on, despite the fact that McChord is associated with this company and with Datto. It is a brand new business. I'm guessing there are still plenty of people in our audience who aren't familiar with Slide, haven't seen anything about it before. And if you're curious to learn, by the way, the URL is slide.tech, TECH, if you want to go check them out. So they're going to have to create awareness, build some brand equity. They have an API, Eric, but they don't have any PSA integrations right now. And some of that is because the company is brand new. Some of it, they told me, is because they think, that the major PSA vendors out there, most of them, have BDR solutions of their own and aren't especially eager to integrate with them right now. And so this is one of those things where if they achieve critical mass with MSPs anyway, those other vendors, the PSA vendors, will be sort of forced to integrate. But right now they're not integrating. That creates an issue for Slide. Maybe the biggest question in my mind, because this is something that I've been talking about for a long while, is there really a future in this industry right now for a company that truly specializes in backup? I should say right now they're specializing specifically in appliance-based server backup. They have plans that they didn't get into in great detail to expand beyond that. But this is going to be a backup-only company that is best of breed, they believe, in that space. And, as we know, there's so much going on around platforms right now. All of the big PSA vendors I was referring to before are platform companies. They do RMM and PSA and BDR and security. And there is very much this idea in the industry that this is what MSPs want and need, and that MSPs will be willing maybe to sacrifice absolute best of breed functionality for some of the benefits that come from buying into a platform as opposed to assembling a stack of best of breed products. So that, in a lot of ways, I think is going to be one of the biggest issues that Slide is going to have to combat. And it'll just be really interesting to see where the balance gets struck between all of those really great things that they have going in their favor for a brand new startup company, and then some of those headwinds that they're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, Rich, I'm curious, during your interview with them, I mean, did they express any specific call out, any specific challenges or opportunities that they see that they're going to have to, work through or around? Or was it just kind of what you just shared with us in general about, entering this market? I assume that the interview happened before all the news of the tariffs and all this happened. So I'm just curious as to what you might think the impact of this kind of, hardware appliance-based business model may find in terms of, challenges along the way here in the short term.
You're absolutely right. The interview did happen before the tariffs were announced last week as we're recording this show. You raise a good point, and it's a point that I'm going to have to remind myself to raise anytime I'm talking about hardware, anything with anyone right now, because, and especially right now, I think we'll get more clarity around this as time goes on, but there are a lot of question marks right now about supply chains and component costs, and I don't know a whole lot. The appliance that Slide is offering their customers is something that they have absolutely designed from the ground up. I don't know where it's manufactured or how. I don't know what the cost implications of the tariffs are going to be. But you're right. This could be another headwind. That's not something that, headwinds in general, challenges in general, is not something that we spoke about at length. I think it's fair to say their mindset is, if we do the things we're doing well, if we execute on this vision, if we deliver a BDR solution that is superior to what we believe is available elsewhere out there. If we recreate that Datto community and culture, good things are going to happen to this company. They did not, the vibe certainly you get speaking with them is they don't really feel all that concerned about any of the potential issues I raised before.
Yeah, I mean they're riding off of a huge, at Austin, a huge success and developing a solution in the same category that engendered such a positive, a brand and image with their partners. Uh, you've got to feel that folks will be attracted to check in and see what he's releasing next with his team at Slide.
I won't name names because this was a conversation that happened at the welcome reception here at NerdioCon last night, but this company did come up in a conversation with two people one of whom is very, very experienced in the world of managed services and selling to MSPs. I can tell you off the air who that was. Sorry, folks in our audience, I'm not gonna drop the name because, like I said, it was an off the record conversation. But this company came up and he just said they're going to kill it. They're absolutely going to crush it, for all of the reasons that I listed before. And we will see. It'll be really, really interesting to see what kind of momentum they can achieve and how quickly that happens.
Well, I'm looking forward to keeping track on the next developments in this emerging story. Thanks for sharing, Rich.
Well, Slide is trying to bring a fresh approach to a classic topic in the world of managed services, BDR. Your tip of the week for this episode, Eric, is kind of similar. You want to kind of refresh people's thinking about something that they have been thinking about for a long time.
Yeah, of course, Rich, we have all experienced the discussions and the strategies and the hopes of MSPs trying to properly price and maintain margins for the products, services, and solutions that they are reselling to their clients. And, you and I have been around long enough, Rich, to see it move from a pricing model that was heavily based on, per device early on to, potentially bundles and like per user, and then, extra fairy dust and sprinkles to try to come up with, a margin, and then, the struggle to measure the deliverables and performance of a team to try to gauge whether we are in the ballpark or way off in terms of achieving those profit margins. And, as one of the early MSPs, I can tell you the first year we drastically miscalculated all of that when we were trying to price what we called back then flat rate IT services. I mean, we had no idea how much time it would take to service these clients. And of course, blast from the past, reminding folks that have been around as long as we have, Rich, there were no MSP friendly programs by vendors or pricing models for their products and services, their licensing. I mean, we had to buy licenses in bulk and agents in bulk for anything that we wanted to resell, and then hope that we could sell it fast enough so that we didn't lose too much money until we saw some profitability. So today's tip of the week, Rich, is all about resetting our perspective and our perceptions from what we typically may find in MSPs that have not reevaluated their legacy pricing models or are still trying to do a little bit of a blend of, okay, per user, per device, license, and things like that. I want us to start thinking, Rich, about moving towards a completely end user based type of pricing model. And this is not easy to achieve, Rich. I'm working with a couple of partners right now in this exact same exercise in trying to identify the costs of, I'm sorry, there's some wild fowl outside of, my office window here. You might hear them, but I hope not, but they're distracting me quite a bit. Anyway, back to the topic at hand. We've got to get to a point where we're taking all of the costs of delivering our services to an end user client, and try to create a formula, Rich, that allows us to break down those costs into a kind of a per user cost. Great examples are some of the things that we consider just kind of cost of doing business, overhead costs, maybe, um, until we reach a level of maturity and say, oh no, we should be, making money on everything that we spend, like PSA solutions, documentation platforms, and even the labor, Rich, that sometimes is hard to calculate, that we forecast in spending on items that aren't responding to RMM alerts, let's say, or end user tickets. And I'm talking about the proactive maintenance duties that we perform for a client. How many hours a quarter do we spend patching and updating and maintaining and just assessing servers, routers, switches, Wi-Fi, configuration, updates, all of these things, a VCIO function, a VCTO function, a CISO meeting, the preparation time that sometimes we don't consider before those meetings, and then the after labor hours that we put in after those meetings. So every minute of every day that we spend, Rich, we should be calculating and figuring out how to apply that time and fractions of the time or formulas around that time to that cost of hourly service delivery to our clients. Now, remember, this is in addition to the cost of our third-party subscriptions and services that we're bundling into our portfolio of services that we're delivering to these clients. And then just to add extra excitement, Rich, we're bundling those in my favorite way to do it, in a good, better, best type of scenario. So trying to figure out how to get a calculator built, which I'm doing right now, because I'm updating all of my tools as well for our MSP partners, to take fractions of those labor costs and then do some formulas and math in a calculator to say, now I know that if I'm supporting a 10 user environment, this is what my true costs are, all in kit and caboodle. If it's 100 users, it automatically calculates my internal costs. And now that we've done that, Rich, we have to now add our margins. I'm not talking about markup. I'm talking about margins on top of what our service costs are, so that we are actually realizing the highest profit potential that we can reach. And then the last step, Rich, is to measure performance and make any tweaks and tunes to our calculator, to our perceptions of what it takes to support these kinds of clients. And the more that we niche down and the more that we verticalize, the easier this gets, because now we're building in some predictability and some acumen around how we should actually price these services profitably. I know that's a lot, Rich. Big fire hose today, but we got to think differently these days.
It's interesting. I'll bet there's data out there. I wouldn't be surprised if I have it lurking somewhere in my folders full of research studies. Off the top of my head, I don't know what percentage of MSPs right now charge all or some of the time on a per device basis. I suspect that's a minority position at this time, but I also suspect a lot of people are doing that. And pretty much everything else that their customers are paying for, which is, all increasingly in the cloud to one extent or another, is charged on a per user per month basis. So, I mean, it's clear that the center of gravity is kind of shifting in that direction. And it's probably going to be something customers appreciate, to be able to think about what they're paying you easily in relation to what they're paying elsewhere for the IT services that they consume. You, as you said, Eric, you didn't have MSP friendly tools out there before to help you with some of what you were talking about there, but no one in our audience has that excuse now. I mean, there are great tools out there for tracking your time, which is a huge part of figuring out what your service delivery costs are. And so you've got to use those tools. You've got to get everybody on the team using those tools. And so that, in order to do what you're talking about there, it's going to take a calculator of the kind that you're building, but it's also going to take good, complete, accurate, comprehensive data. And that's probably step one. Use the tools at your disposal to keep track of what you're doing for your customers and what you're spending on the software and services that you use to support them, so that you can accurately and completely come up with a cost that you can then add margin to.
Yeah, Rich, a couple of things come to mind there is, we kind of do think about per user pricing and then kind of doing a markup on that. But where I find the potential for MSPs to leave money on the table is not considering the true labor cost of supporting those, licenses and all the other things that we kind of sense that's like, oh, that's just a minute or two. I'm not really going to book my time. The other key element to this is making sure that every single billable technician and even non-billable folks, because, that's kind of the shadow costs of supporting these customers too. Customer experience folks, I mean, invoicing and all that. You've got to really consider what your overhead hourly labor burden is on top of your service delivery burden. So I'm just adding another layer of complexity to this. But ultimately, if we are not holding our teams accountable to documenting all of their time, then we could have the best calculator in the world and still have bad data.
Got to get the basics right to get the costs right, to get the margin that you want. So again, everything old is new again, Eric. This is advice that goes back to the earliest days of managed services, and it's as fresh today as it was then. Well, we are going to take a quick break here right now, folks. When we come back, we'll be joined by this week's interview guest. We were talking a little bit before on the show about the power of platform in our industry right now. We've spoken about marketplaces and their role in the industry on earlier episodes. We've certainly spoken many times about AI. Our interview guest this week is a perfect person with whom to discuss all of those topics and more. He is Sanjib Sahoo, the president of the Global Platform Group at Ingram Micro, and he is going to join us in just a moment to talk about platforms and marketplaces and AI and a bunch of other stuff. Stick around. We will be right back. And welcome back to part 2 of this episode of the MSP Chat Podcast, our Spotlight interview segment, where we are very pleased to be joined by the president, the newly named, as we'll get into in a moment, president of the Global Platform Group at Ingram Micro, Sanjib Sahoo. Sanjib, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rich. Great to be here. Delighted to talk to you today.
So you and I have spoken a number of times in the past. You might be new to a lot of folks in the audience. And as I said, the title that you have now at Ingram Micro is one that you got in January. It's kind of new. So tell folks a little bit about who you are and what you do and what your role is at Ingram.
Yeah, absolutely. As you know, I'm the president of the platform group in Ingram Micro. Ingram is becoming a platform company, and my role is to actually lead all things platform. The platform strategy, platform development, platform operations, platform marketing, platform support services, everything to platform. And as we actually build the platform operating model of Ingram Micro to become a platform company, that's kind of my goal. So this is spearheading the entire Ingram Micro's platform journey is what I have and I lead, and partnering with other members of our executive team. That's who I am. I am in Ingram Micro for almost about 3.5 years, almost to be 4 years right now. Before that, I worked with B2B and B2C industries, not in distribution. So I have a different perspective of how platforms work, businesses work, both in B2B and B2C, in financial, technology systems, as well as, logistics before Ingram Micro.
So that's a great place to kick things off here. We had an executive from Pax8 on the show a few months back, and Pax8 is adamant these days. We're not a distributor; we're a marketplace. You guys are defining yourself as a platform company. Platform is a word that a lot of people in our audience hear on a regular basis. Talk a little bit about what platform means at Ingram Micro and what it means for you to be defining yourself as a platform company.
Absolutely. I think, Rich, advantage of the platform is what we started when I joined Ingram Micro, and we started with the vision. And in 2022, there is a difference between a platform as a tool supporting the business and becoming a platform business. And what I mean platform is you actually have a connection between all parts of the ecosystem. It's not a fragmented platform or a marketplace with one piece. For example, in this industry, you have a lot of friction. How you buy, cloud differently, hardware differently, services. Bring all this together to one single ecosystem in one single order ticket. So we in Ingram Micro, we are not actually building different marketplaces. It's not about just a transaction in a marketplace. It's about building a platform. What I mean by that is really connecting our channel partners, our vendor partners, our employees through one single platform ecosystem. And how we do that is, think about the platform really doesn't own anything. What it does is it actually makes the connection better. And what we are going is in three different phases. One is, first was to remove friction among the different processes, systems, friction about how we buy hardware, software, cloud differently, bring it all into one single platform. Really have a platform experience for our vendor partners. Two sides, right? A platform for the vendor partners, a platform for channel partners, so that everything is real time, powered by our data mesh that we have built. We have more than 30 patents pending for this. And what we really built is, it's not just creating us, a journey isolation. It's about showing up as a platform. Let me give you an example. Can you actually meet your customers where they are through technology? So instead of doing IT integration, you can actually do your CPQ CRM through our AI framework right there. Can you actually do price things real time? Can you actually quote complex quotes configurations in almost minutes and seconds? Can we push recommendations, insights? So you can actually talk a lot about the features and platform, but in Ingram Micro, our goal is to create that holistic platform ecosystem, irrespective of cloud services, hardware. That's what I mean by a platform, what we are building.
That's really, really the motion that we see the industry moving in, Sanjib. I'd like to ask you a little bit about Xvantage, as it's inspired by the idea that businesses want the B2C experience they get from consumer apps on their phones in B2B interactions nowadays more and more. So what does that mean for MSPs as they're considering how to adjust their business models in working with Ingram?
Think about this. The concept of B2C experience in a B2B is B2B is hard, right? But today, the people who are buying technology, people who are actually procuring technology are used to that experience. You go to Netflix, you actually have a customized version of recommendation. Every time you watch a movie, it gives the next recommendation. You go to YouTube. Or think about this, on a Sunday, you're watching a football game, you order food on a pizza on an app, and you are tracking the pizza coming, and you can customize a pizza. You used to come to distribution and you used to call people about, where is my order? Is that how you want to an experience? We sell the most amazing technology in this channel. The thought process behind Xvantage was, can we use the same amazing technology to really create a different experience for our partners? For example, you can track through your phone. You can actually order from your phone. You can get recommendations instantly on your phone. If you sell a hardware, you can get a warranty immediately on the platform, or you can actually get customized insights. Think about for an MSP. If you go to the platform we have more than 100 AI models analyzing. We have so many years of data, giving you insights about to make your business more profitable, giving you insights about what is the product that you should focus on or which market you should go on. Insights that make you do your business better. It's almost like a big company helping you as an MSP to actually run your business better, right? Second of all, if you look at it, the journey has changed a lot, Eric. Nobody buys hardware in isolation. You buy hardware, software, cloud, average 6 products in every solution, and the lines are crisscross. It's not like an OEM to a disti to a a reseller, MSP, the end user. Everybody is it's going crisscross right now with our technology. I think the way the Xvantage gives you is it's a customized version, a different experience as you want to use it for a partner. If you want to integrate your systems to Xvantage, you can do it easily. If you want to go to the customer platform and personalize it, you can do it. If you want to use a mobile platform, you can use it. So it is about taking your OpEx out and helping you to be more profitable in a way, and then giving you opportunities to grow through the platform. Now, is it perfect? No platform is perfect. We have been building in the last 2.5 years. We have put in more than 29 million lines of code to build the platform, and we release software almost every day right now. And we learn and understand how the industry is. You're changing a 45-year-old company in last 2.5, 3 years. So it's not perfect always. But what we encourage is the feedback loop, listening to our partners, VARs, MSPs, or channel partners, and bringing that input into Xvantage. And it's a flexible platform, totally customized and self-learning to help our partners.
It's interesting, Sanjib. You're using, like you said, you're using technology to eliminate or reduce friction in the relationship between Ingram and its partners by giving people self-serve, easy, round-the-clock access to basic information that they need. What's the status of this order? What's a price on that product? At the same time, you're not trying to completely eliminate person-to-person interaction between Ingram and its partners. I think the idea is to free up time, basically, for higher quality interaction. Instead of the interaction being, give me an order status, let's talk about go-to-market strategies and so on. For the folks in our audience here, how should they think about the appropriate and inappropriate ways to use technology to automate interaction with their customers? What's not going far enough in terms of delivering that B2C experience they want, and what's going too far, maybe?
So there are two ways to look at it, Rich. The one way to look at it is, for every partner, there are some things that they do which is cognitive, which is strategy, thinking, solutioning, problem solving, and which actually a platform or a company, Ingram Micro, can help, or a salesperson can help. There are other things which is like really routine. Okay, my billing issues, tracking issues, reconciliation issues, all these things. Do you really want to call somebody to track your order and then go around and talk about 30, 40 minutes? Do you really want to talk to somebody to figure out billing issues? The idea is, let technology play to take that friction out, make it easy, take complexity out, and then give you the basic necessity to run your business, the repetitive things automated. So the platform gives you a way to actually do that, which frees up time for both our sales team as well as for the partners to engage in meaningful discussions. What do we want for our channel partners? To go and tell their end customers not to go and fill line cards, but to solve problems. And how do you solve problems? If they understand how is technology changing, what are the solutions in the market, which technology is better than others, they can do that by solutioning together with our teams. And how they can solution together if they are always busy in figuring it out. Okay, I have a billing issue, I have a tracking issue, I have a SKU issue. It takes up time. And what happens in the industry, that actually takes most of the times. So we do more of sales ops versus actually selling and partnering with our channel partners. So the idea is the platform takes that complexity out and frees up, makes it easy so that you can actually, if you go to investment banking today, you actually have your investment bankers' names there. You're doing everything automated, but can talk to them about strategic investing opportunities and do that. Same concept. We want the time to be meaningful for us and for our partners in the most right way. So that's one perspective. So you are not taking humans out. You're actually putting human to do more for our partners, whereas the technology is doing more for what is not important. So you're really prioritizing the time. The second thing is, today, if you look at a limited sales force, and everybody has pressures on numbers and all, a $60 cartridge sometimes takes the same effort to actually sell a $10,000 solution. If you do not prioritize with segmentation and technology and automate some of them, then you cannot actually free up the time to get the right partner with the right loyalty to get the right time, right? We want to give our loyal partners even more time, more touch. How do you do that if you do not automate some of the things, based on every transaction? So the idea is really figure out what is cognitive and what is repetitive, use technology to automate the repetitive so that take complexity out, and then do that. If you look at our phase of evolution of our platform journey, the first phase was take friction out about systems, processes, how we sell hardware, software, cloud services, bring everything into one platform. The second phase is speeding up go to market. How do we actually now take a sales motion to actually have our teams, help our customers? Let me give you an example, Rich. People think that relationship is all about people talking to people, which is good. Think about technology talking to technology. If we can integrate with our partners' technology in minutes and seconds, not months or years, that is another way of relationship. What are we doing is we are building that bridge so much more tighter for mutually beneficial way. That's not human, but it's also a company. So the world has changed a lot right now, that there is a human element and there is also a technology element. So now we are speeding up go to market. The third thing is really link demand and supply through data, so we can actually be a better company to serve our partners. So overall, to your question, we want platform doesn't mean we are not humans. Platform means put our teams to have the right discussion, the right time, so that we can actually take complexity out. It also means that we are meeting our partners where they are in their technology journey. That is another way of relationship, that Xvantage Integration Hub, where we can use our AI framework to integrate with our partners' technology system without going through massive integration. Don't you think that is another way of relationship building? That our technology is connecting with our partners' technology with minimal effort. So that's what I will say.
Sanjib, a couple of things that you shared really resonated with me as a former MSP. And one thing, a term that you mentioned was OpEx, and you tied the idea of reducing the partner's operating expenses in engaging with Ingram and Xvantage. And that's really interesting because that's the conversation that MSPs typically have when they're presenting their services to their end customers. It's the value of moving some of these, CapEx type of expenses into OpEx for potential tax advantages. So that really jumped out at me. The second thing was you mentioned pizza several times, and now you made me hungry for pizza. But here's my question. Lots of companies are now operating marketplaces and platforms when traditionally, it was a different kind of a model. Can you share with our MSP audience maybe some tips on how they should evaluate some of these marketplaces and platforms and make the right decision and how they should engage and with who?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I have a lot of respect for all our competition. I'm not going to comment on any competition, right? Because every company is unique. They are great. They do great business. But what I would say is that the terms, marketplace and platform, it sounds great. But what we have to focus is answer some simple questions. And then you will know what's the difference between a platform or a tool or a model. Like, there's a huge difference. I told this to Rich a few times, is there's a huge difference between building a tool that supports a business as a platform versus building a platform that the business is supporting, becoming a platform business. So what does it mean for it? To really create a platform means you're creating a platform operating model. You're looking at how do you focus on inventory, category management, how you're looking at quality of revenue, how you actually can add SKUs real time, focus on data. You're creating the DNA of the culture, right? You are building in software every day. You're looking at user experience. If you look at it, the platform has three components in a model, right? We serve the channel partners, the VARs, MSP channel partners, their end customers, they support them. We are in between, and we have OEMs and the vendors. So think about this. You need to support everybody. Do you have a platform that supports your vendors who can get visibility into metrics, who can build their next marketing campaign through your platform, who can actually get tracking information, who can look at idle partners as a vendor? Second, do you have a platform that supports all entities, your your channel partners, your employees, your vendors, different persona in those companies through a one single platform, and they are connected real time? You add a SKU, immediately visible to your channel partners, right? Second, do you have a platform that can support everything, all things technology? The technology is blurring. Hardware, software, cloud, any subscription, services, all in a platform and in a single order ticket. Let me repeat: hardware, software, cloud, subscription, services, everything in a single platform, a single order ticket, dealing with the end use and all the integrations. Number three, how long does a complex code and configurations take in? You can always have a platform or a marketplace, anything that can take in the order, but in the back end is complicated. Can you actually do complex code and configurations in minutes and seconds? Can you actually push insights recommendations? Can you actually have a platform that takes IT integrations out? You can actually have your CPQ CRMs integrated to a platform in minutes, not months. That's when you know it's a platform, not a marketplace or not a tool, right? And again, this is our thought and we are working on it. Does every single thing perfect? No. But in my mind, a platform means there's a lot of technology components to it, right? You can integrate within multiple ways. You can view it multiple ways. You can leverage the power of technology and AI multiple ways. So that's what we do. We have an AI center of excellence. We have built more than 100 AI models, and we use it to build Xvantage. It is not today. And the first interview I did with Rich in 2022, I said, we are making Xvantage a self-learning platform with the power of data and AI. And that vision has not changed in the last 3 years.
So you've got over 100 AI models in Xvantage. You obviously have enormous experience in using AI for operational efficiency, and that's something that the folks in our audience are thinking about a lot right now in terms of their own business. Based on what you've learned, what you know, your experience at Ingram with AI, do you have any suggestions, thoughts, tips for an MSP on how they might be leveraging AI to get more efficient and effective operationally?
The first thing is, do not fear AI, but cheer AI. AI is nothing new. It has been since 1950s in different forms and shape. The first chatbot was created in 1960s, and we still have jobs. So we should stop worrying about AI. What really means is that AI is a combination of multiple factors. Even in the enterprise, AI solution doesn't work. So AI, cyber, your data is all intertwined, right? So and security. So you are all intertwined. You cannot have, AI without data. You need security, so all of this is actually all intertwined, right? So my first advice is we have to think big and act small. It's not about the next big algorithm we are trying to do. A lot of us, try to be shiny. Oh my God, we are working on LLM, large language models, machine learning models, this model, that model. And what we do is we try to work on AI and try to find a problem that AI can solve and be happy with it. I don't think that's the right approach. You do not have to do AI for the sake of doing AI. And AI is another technology, and technology will evolve more and more. And it's exciting. It's great. Make no mistake, this is exciting. So my suggestion is find the business problem. Find 2 or 3 business problems that you need to solve. Then understand what are the capabilities of AI that can solve it. And you can evaluate in 3 parameters: speed, scale, service. Are you trying to get speed to your operations or speed to go to market? Does it help you to scale your business, scale your operations? Does it help you to service your customers or anybody better? And then figure out if any of those AI capabilities, either through a partner or you, can actually help in to achieve those goals. If you do not have that narrow objective and focus, you can think big, but you really have to act small and drive value. Otherwise, there will be a lot of fancy POCs, and then you'll not get the value out of it. So my point is that you have to really build, first of all, a checklist. Let's say I suddenly decide I want to lose weight and I start running on a treadmill 10 miles an hour first day. What will happen? Maybe I'll get a heart attack. So companies do not understand their AI maturity level based on their systems, their data, where they are, and then jump on the next cool algorithm. So first, understand the maturity of your AI, maturity of your data and systems. Second of all, understand the problem that one has to solve. And the MSP's thing is, to the go-to market, they should talk to their end customers, understand the problems, and bring in AI solutions, not just AI algorithms. AI solutions means applications, data, cyber, combined together packages to solve that, and then really figure out how they can actually have those solutions sold. On their own system side, one of the reason I'm not selling Advantage here is that we do not want them to invest all in their own AI. They don't have the means and power to all. A small MSP does not have millions of dollars to invest in new AI algorithm, the resources. So what we do is we actually take our data and customize the insights for a partner in the platform so that they can leverage and get its platform. But that's one way. Other ways, pick up 2 or 3 use cases that they need to solve and go with them. And that's most important, because if you do not have that defined with speed, scale, service, and what you use AI, you can do a lot of shiny POCs and not get the value out of it.
Sanjib, you've kind of walked us through from an MSP's perspective, how they should evaluate the AI opportunity, some tips on maybe, operationalizing it. Rich and I speak a lot on the podcast about AI and the MSP's readiness to develop and build services around AI in terms of moving their value proposition from kind of these technology outcomes into more strategic business outcomes. If I were to ask you to predict what the low-hanging fruit opportunities are for MSPs in maybe introducing some crawl, walk, run, maybe AI services into their client conversations, what do you see MSPs gravitating towards? How should they approach maybe designing some of these services, and what they should look out for? What should they avoid in maybe putting some of those strategies together?
That's a great question. So, AI in any form needs data. There is no AI without data. And only 5% of the data in the enterprise approximately is useful. And more than 50% of the data loses value with time, maybe 24 hours, 72 hours. So the way to look at an enterprise stack is there's a system of records, which is your, ERPs and the data that is collecting the data. There's a system of engagement, which is insights and engaging, that is working on that. And there is a experience layer, right? A lot of the times we try to work on AI on that experience layer without understanding the need for systems, collecting data, clean data, and rationalization, which opens up a lot of opportunity for MSPs to go and talk about modernization of systems, system rationalization, really working on putting on cloud, because you need compute and storage for AI, working on security. So MSP should approach to talk to them, understand 2 or 3 problems, and really stitch a solution which bypasses data, systems rationalization, one aspect of it, security, and then cloud hyperscaler or cloud solution where they can actually do the compute and storage, and then look at the AI application that they want to use and the algos, and then the experience layer. So if they can actually bypass, all the big, theories and take a small problem and take the entire stack end to end and then sell it that way, I think that will be a great, opportunity. And then really think about that every company wants to do AI needs data strategy. Every company wants to do AI needs an enterprise rationalization strategy. Every company wants to move some of their workloads on cloud to actually have higher compute for the AI algos to work. They want a data strategy, caching strategy, cloud strategy. They want an architecture strategy that abstracts their data layer with systems layer with the experience layer. These are low hanging fruits that MSPs can actually go and help them. A lot of the companies may not always know how to extract data and then modernize it on the cloud and re-platform it, how it should be, or create an AI data mesh versus an operational data mesh. These are the things they should start working on versus working on. The other approach I'll also say, Eric, is things like customer service. Gen AI is a great example of with conversational AI and agentic AI to start working on customer service. So focus on, hey, I want to increase my satisfaction with customer service by X percentage. You can go and create an agentic AI use case or Gen AI use case and work on customer service and support. That's another easy. So take one or two such use cases to actually start small, but think about the data enterprise system strategy, rational strategy. Then you can actually build your solution with your customers much more stickier way and drive more results.
So I'm gonna actually do almost the exact opposite of what you're talking about here, because Eric was invoking the crawl, walk, run kind of idea, and you've been talking a lot about identifying, small uses, specific use cases where AI is going to make a contribution, build gradually, innovate continuously. But I want to kind of skip ahead to the run, the past the crawl and the walk a little bit here, because you think a lot about AI. So for an MSP in our audience, if you're thinking ahead 2 years from now, when they are really up and going and mature in their understanding of an application of AI, what becomes possible for them? What are they doing with that technology that they're not even thinking about imagining today?
I think you will see agentic AI really, really having. So, for example, a service company can have all AI agents, a lot of AI agents to run services. And MSP should think about how we can use AI agents to do a lot of services or do in the future that they're not thinking right now. They can think about AI doing a lot of their not only billing reconciliation to the platform, but do proactive solution finding, proactive opportunities. They can actually use AI to figure out the opportunities that are in the market. They can use AI to actually we are doing it right now to look at AI to convert quotes into proactive calling and get better conversion rate. So I think the more as an MSP, if you really have your system structured, you can use AI to actually do a lot of run your business. Think about an agentic AI as a nice intern that is learning your business and doing a lot of your work, and then which opens up the door for MSPs to actually, one, how they can use AI in their own business to be more profitable and and drive down OpEx and create that leverage. Two, they can actually go to the market because of AI to actually come and drive this whole service partners, the service opportunities end to end that I talked about in a much more, because AI is getting more and more mainstream. It's not just AI and cyber and data. It's becoming a part of your DNA. It's becoming a part of how you're actually working into it, in a part of everything that you do. I think that's where I see a shift right now, where instead of just thinking about AI as a side project or a POC, they should think about how AI should be part of their business, and then how you actually build your business using AI technology, and also to grow your business using AI ecosystem. That's what I see to be pulled in the future.
Sanjib, a lot of the things that you're saying, these quotes are resonating with me. I love the don't fear AI, cheer AI. I can see the t-shirts where you're striking out the word fear and putting cheer AI in there. So, I just jumped out at me, right? So on that, thinking about fear versus cheer, you've spoken about that specifically to AI, but I think I want to expand it more generally in how Ingram is not letting fear of failure slow down innovation there. Talk about how MSPs should embrace that same kind of thinking and mindset to spur their own innovation.
Yeah, I think that's really a great question, Eric. Think about this. Technology changes all the time. Few years ago, I know you're hungry right now, but let's say you go to a bar and have a nice drink, and would you then come out of the bar or a restaurant and wave at somebody and say, "Hey, can you give me a ride?" and trust your life with a stranger in their car and to take you home? You would not. But today, what do? You come out, take your phone, click a button. You don't know that person. You sit in their car and you trust your life with that person. What has changed? The change is your mindset has changed because of the technology has shown the way. And every time when you actually drive technology innovation, the two things that stop us. One is we focus a lot on the 40% chance to fail versus the 60% chance to succeed. Second, we focus on being perfect. No technology is perfect, and it never is going to be. But I feel it should be imperfectly perfect. Look, Apple did not make or invent the phone, right? As far as I know. All they did was make a better phone. So incremental innovation is very important. But the problem is we need to think big, act small, fail fast, and fail safe. So if we iterate every day in small cycles, then we have a bias for action. And bias for action leads to bias for results. But the bias for inaction leads to sudden change where you cannot actually course correct. More than 50% of the Fortune 500 companies are not more in the list in the last 20 years. Things change all the time. And what happens is that sometimes the fear to fail causes not to take risk. Risk is not bad. Today, calculated risk is innovation. So if you can think big, have small steps, and calibrate, like you play golf, you don't go the first shot, you actually calibrate. And that's how you pivot. And that's the kind of a DNA that companies need to have. Look, Eric, transformation doesn't have a stop sign. And I sometimes tell, oh, Ingram Micro is in transformation. My thing is that when will it stop? It's not a project. You don't stop being healthy. Is it a project? It's not project. So our DNA should be looking at opportunities, take calculated risk, and create opportunities. Focus on the art of possible, but match it with art of feasible. So art of possible, art of feasible, and have that healthy balance. And then iterate. That's the idea. If we do not do that, and we have prejudice and we are comfortable, what has got us here will not take us there. And one day, and that's what I want MSPs to think. You do not have to always be bold and do the next thing. Take small steps, which is right for your business. I always say that in our life and business, sometimes we try to copy others' answers without knowing the question papers are not the same. What works for A will not work for B. The algorithm that works for me may not work for you, but understand what is right for you and your business. Don't jump on the curve because it's so cool, and then figure out and solve one single small problem. And that's what I would say to have that. It's a mindset change. Agility. You don't need the best innovators or AI programmers to be an AI company. What you need is a DNA of curiosity, a DNA of bias for action, a DNA for being data driven, and a DNA to actually move. AI is nothing but human intelligence at scale. And that's what you need first before the algorithms.
Well, Sanjib, that's about all the time, unfortunately, we have to speak with you. I really do appreciate you giving us a chance to leverage some of your experience thinking about not just AI, but innovation, two topics that are very relevant to the folks in our audience right now. For the folks who are listening or watching and would be interested to learn more about you, get in touch with you, or learn more about Xvantage, where would you point them?
Well, you can go to xvantage.com, or ingrammicro.com. We have a lot of, information materials about them. Reach out to our teams. And if you want to reach out to me anytime, I will answer questions. I'm passionate about this. We are passionate about what we are doing. And every single day, we are working hard to give our partners a better experience.
All right. Sanjib Sahoo, the president of the global platform business at Ingram Micro. Thank you so much again for joining us here on MSP Chat. Well, folks, Eric and I are going to take a quick break right now. When we come back on the other side, we're going to share a few final thoughts about this very interesting conversation with Sanjib, have a little fun, wrap up the show. Stick around. We are going to be right back. And welcome back to part 3 of this episode of the MSP Chat podcast. Part of what I did there, Eric, is something that I often do when I get the chance to interview Sanjib. I will usually ask him a bunch of questions about whatever it is that Ingram has in the news that he's been working on. That's what he most wants to talk about. But then I'll kind of pick his brain a little bit about some of the stuff that he's been thinking about, more deeply and longer than a lot of the other folks who I know in the industry. And, in this case, it was a lot about AI and automation. That just a ton of insights there for folks to think about, and in terms of how they can apply it to their own business. But there was one thing in there that that kind of stuck with me a little bit, because I am sort of thinking about this issue right now around agentic AI, which came up towards the end of the conversation there, in terms of how much automation might become too much automation for MSPs down the road. Do you automate your business so well using AI that people stop feeling like they have a human connection to the business and the human beings who own and run it? And there was a point in that conversation where Sanjib was talking about it was cogitation versus repetition, I think. And he was saying, look for the repetitious stuff, the stuff that gets done the same way over and over again on a regular basis. That's ripe for automation. Go ahead and use, even if it's not AI, RPA, whatever it is, automate that stuff, and then use the time you free up for the cogitation, the stuff where you're really kind of thinking strategically and as a consultant, the fabled trusted advisor with your clients, so that you're actually deepening the human-to-human business relationship there, while you are also automating the stuff that kind of drives up your operational expenses.
Yeah, I think that was a great line of questioning there, and a great part of the conversation, Rich. As I mentioned, I really liked, turning that kind of OpEx conversation around to MSPs, because they will connect to it like I did. I'm like, oh, well, we've been saying that to clients all the time, and now you're saying, holy cow, I can reduce my operating expenses, by adopting these types of services and benefits. I also, he wove in a lot of logic into, his argument about the value and where MSPs need to be looking. And I really especially appreciated him tying in kind of that agentic AI into the conversation when he was kind of responding to your question about this. And, so that Goldilocks question, right? What's too much, what's not enough, but what's just right? And I've got a feeling that MSPs are really well prepared to kind of identify that and bring AI into their businesses, and then even leverage, platforms that Ingram is making available to them to make the customer facing buying experience and invoicing experience a lot smoother. So again, really resonated to me is that OpEx conversation, right? There's really only a couple of ways, Rich, to increase your net profit at the end of the day. One is to reduce your costs, which this speaks very specifically to. Another way is to sell more higher margin services, right? And then to make your service delivery delight your clients, so you can go back and sell more and more to them. So making it easier for them to buy from you, making your service delivery more efficient and effective, and getting rid of some of that noise. I mean, all these are kind of the promises of AI, and additional reasons not to fear it, but to cheer it, as Sanjib said.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you have discovered, as our audience has, what I have known of Sanjib for a while, which is that he is a very skilled phrase maker, and we got several examples of that during the conversation, which was great as well. So thanks very much to Sanjib Sahoo for joining us on MSP Chat. And as I thank him, that leaves us with time for just one last thing, folks. And this is going to be really, really good news for anyone in our audience who just really likes KFC or simply wishes their breath could smell like fried chicken all day long. Because, Eric, it turns out that for a limited time only, you and I, everyone out there, can get toothpaste that is flavored like KFC fried chicken. It comes from a company called Hismile, Hismile, Hismile teeth.com is the place to look this up. If you are itching to get your hands on a tube of this. And by the way, each tube goes for about $13. You can also get a KFC branded electric toothbrush to go with that for a mere $59. And again, I don't know when they stop offering this, but it is going to go away. And, anyone could brush their teeth with mint toothpaste, Eric. Who wouldn't prefer, I can name one person, to brush their teeth with toothpaste that tastes like KFC?
I just picture the Colonel just rolling in his grave, Rich. I mean, I know he wanted to sell lots of his delicious fried chicken, but I think, making toothpaste out of it. I mean, what's next? Deodorant? I think it's going a bit far, but let's let our listeners vote by, posting in the comments below what you guys think about KFC flavored toothpaste.
It's just not how I want to start my day. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking right now. But let's hear from you folks. Let us know, and particularly if anyone out there actually gets a tube of this stuff and tries it, please do let us know how that experience went. And we will be awaiting word from you on that. But that is all the time we've got this week on the MSP Chat podcast. We'll be back in a week's time with another episode. Until then, we will remind you, this is both a video and an audio podcast, which means that if you are listening to us, but you'd like to check us out on video, you can go to YouTube, look up MSP Chat. You're going to find us there. If you are watching us on YouTube, but you listen to podcasts sometimes, go to Spotify, Google, Apple, wherever it is you get your podcast. You're probably going to find us there too. And however it is you find us, please subscribe, rate, review. It's going to help other people find and enjoy the show too. This show is produced by the great Russ Johns. It is edited by the great Riley Simpson. They are both part of the team with us here at Channel Mastered. They are ready, willing, and able to create a podcast for you. And believe me when I tell you, Channel Master does way, way, way more for its clients than podcasts. And if you want to learn more about that complete range of services that we deliver, please visit www.channelmastered.com. Channel Mastered has a sister company called MSP Mastered. That is Eric, working one-on-one with MSPs to grow and optimize their business. So you can learn more about that at www.mspmastered.com. So once again, folks, we thank you for joining us here on the show. We'll see you in a week. Until then, please allow me to remind you that you can't spell channel without MSP.